Most people don't need more motivation. They just need a mirror. They need a moment where somebody says, hey, I love you enough to tell you the truth. Because the truth is, a lot of us are walking around waiting, and life is moving whether you're ready for it or not. And if you're not careful, you can spend years making excuses, avoiding pain, protecting your ego, blaming circumstances, and calling it being realistic. But at some point, you're going to have to ask yourself, am I really living, or am I just managing fear? Today, I want to talk to you about 5 hard truths that everyone needs to hear. And it's not to beat you down. It's not to make you feel guilty, but to wake you up, to wake up something inside of you, because sometimes the truth hurts, but the right truth heard at the right time can also set you free. And I'm telling you this because I care about you. Welcome to another episode of the Leading Life Podcast, where we talk practical wisdom for leadership and life. I'm your host, Andy Zook, and I've learned that leadership is about how we show up for people, how we navigate change, and how we continue growing. Right now on today's episode, 5 hard truths that will set you free. Please do not just listen to this episode. I want you to use it because it's not merely a leadership theory podcast. As I always say, this is a take action podcast, and your life changes when you stop collecting advice and start applying the truth. And I sat down this morning and I made a list of things that I thought, what are the hardest things that people need to hear but absolutely need to understand and embrace before they go forward? So here they are. Let's get to it. Hard truth number 1. Stop making excuses for not living life to the fullest. Here's what I mean. A lot of people are not actually stuck. They're just scared. And listen, I say that with compassion because fear is real. Anxiety is real. Doubt is real. Trauma, insecurity, and pain are all real. But I think worse is regret. Regret is brutal because it usually shows up years later and it says, you had more life available to you, but you kept choosing fear. And that's a hard thing to face because so many people are waiting for anxiety to go away before they start living, and life just doesn't work that way. Courage does not come before action. Most of the time, courage comes from taking action. You don't become brave by waiting until fear leaves the room. You become brave by walking forward when fear is still standing there. And this is where we have to get honest, because some people have built an entire identity around their excuses. But underneath, a lot of that is one sentence, and that's, I'm afraid. So here's the thing. It's okay to be afraid. It's not okay to hand your entire life over to fear, because anxiety is a terrible life manager. Anxiety will tell you to stay home, stay quiet, don't risk it, don't say it out loud, don't try, don't love too deeply, don't start over, don't stand out, don't be seen. And then years go by and suddenly you realize you didn't avoid pain, you avoided life. So the first hard truth is you cannot keep blaming fear for a life you refuse to lead. At some point, you have to say, I may be scared, but I'm still going anyway. I do not need a perfect life to start living fully. You just need a decision that says, I'm not going to let anxiety drive the car anymore. It can ride in the back seat if it has to, but I got the wheel. I remember I had almost talked myself out of the greatest opportunity in my career because of fear and anxiety. I would work all week, clueless to even what I was doing and where I was going. And then at the weekend, I would come home. And one day I came out of the bathroom with tears in my eyes, and my wife looked at me like, look, I know this is hard, but once you break through to the other side of this, you're going to become who you were meant to be, and this job is going to take off. So I hung in there, and that's exactly what happened. Bottom line, fear cannot be allowed to become the permanent leader of your life. Hard truth number 2, face your shadows head on. Yeah, you know what? Parts of yourself you refuse to face will eventually control you. Carl Jung is credited with the idea that until we make the unconscious conscious, it will direct our lives, and we will call it fate. That's a very powerful thought because a lot of people are not being controlled by their circumstances. They are being controlled by the parts of themselves they've never examined. And that could be their words, their anger, their jealousy, their insecurity, maybe need for approval, maybe fear of abandonment, pride, shame, defensiveness, on and on. That is the shadow. The shadow is not just bad stuff. It's the hidden stuff. It's the denied stuff. deep down inside of us. It's the part of you that says, I'm fine when you're not fine. The part of you that says, I don't care, but you really do. The part of you that criticizes others because you have not made peace with yourself. Whatever you refuse to face in yourself does not disappear. That's the hard truth. It leaks into all aspects of your life. You think you're hiding it, but the people closest to you, they can feel it. They can see it. That resentment you never dealt with, it becomes sarcasm. That insecurity you never owned, it becomes control. That fear of rejection, it becomes people pleasing. That's why self-awareness is not soft. Self-awareness is strength. It takes courage to look in the mirror and say, why did that bother me so much? Or why do I keep reacting this way? That's not weakness. That's leadership. You cannot lead yourself if you refuse to know yourself. You cannot heal what you keep pretending is not there. The shadow you will not face will become the life you keep repeating. But here's the best part. When you face it, you can change it. You can stop calling old wounds your personality. You can stop calling fear wisdom. You can stop calling defensiveness strength. One of the best examples that I can give you, and I'm even embarrassed telling you about this, but there was a young man, a good decade or more younger than me, putting his money to work really well, like in the smartest way. He was buying up prime real estate and selling houses for twice the value that he originally paid. And I caught that shadow inside of me being jealous. And let me be really clear with all you listeners. It is extremely unlike me to ever be jealous. And I think that's probably the only moment in my life that I felt that way. But I realized that I wasn't mad at him or jealous of him or whatever. I was mad at myself because I could have made those money moves. I could have made my money work for me better. I could have put it into things that would have paid off better, but I didn't. And I put it into things that didn't matter. And so that was the shadow inside of me coming out. And so once I realized that, I was like, okay, I need to be smarter with what I do with my money. The bottom line here is if someone touched a nerve in you, instead of reacting with judgment, you need to dig into why you're feeling that way to begin with and do the hard work to fix it. Okay, hard truth number 3, hard times reveals who really loves you. You know, you'll find out who really loves you and stands beside you in your life when things get hard. Not when everything is fun. Not when you are useful. Not when you're winning. Not when you're easy to be around. But when you are hurting. That is when relationships reveal themselves because crisis is a filter. It's going to cut out that convenience. You know, a lot of people are going to love your energy, but not your pain. A lot of people will love your success, but not your struggle. Some people love your usefulness, but not your humanity. And that hurts. There's no way around it. It hurts to realize someone you would have shown up for does not show up for you. But here's the other side of the truth. Crisis also reveals the real ones. The people who call, the people who check in, the people who sit with you when they cannot fix what's going on, the people who do not need to be entertained when you're hurting, the people who say, listen, I'm here, and they actually are. Those are the people you treasure. Those are the people you protect. Those are the people you stop taking for granted. Because in life, you don't need a huge circle. You just need a true circle. A few people who will stand with you when the lights go out. And this applies to your leadership too. People don't truly know what kind of leader you are when everything is easy. I will tell you, during COVID, I had a new team at the time, and I think they were kind of unsure of me. But as we went into COVID and I had to lead us through that, I saw them all really connect with me and my leadership. Like that difficult moment, I kept everybody together, kept everybody calm, and they recognized that and they knew they had a job to come back to as soon as things got easier. Crisis does not create character as much as it reveals it in you and the people around you. And when life shows you who people are, believe it. Do not become bitter, become clear. That's the difference. Love people. Forgive people when you can, but stop giving front row seats to people who only show up when it benefits them. Life is too short for fake loyalty. And to be fair, some people may love you deeply, but simply do not have the emotional tools to show up well in a crisis. But either way, crisis will give you that clarity. Hard times reveals the depth, capacity, and reliability of your relationships, even if it means standing alone. All right, truth number 4, your integrity is your reputation. And it's not your title. It's not your income. It's not your image. It's not your resume. It's not your words. It's your integrity. Let me ask you this. Who are you when nobody is watching? Like we hear that all the time, but really that's true. Who are you when nobody's around to see what you're doing? Who are you when telling the truth will cost you something greater? Who are you when you could take the shortcut and probably get away with it? Who are you when someone vulnerable is depending on your honesty? And who are you when you make a mistake? Who are you when you have to choose between looking good and doing right? That itself is integrity. And here's the thing about integrity. You cannot fake it forever. Eventually, your patterns are going to speak louder than your promises. People may be impressed with your talent, but they trust your character. And trust is everything. In leadership, trust is currency. In marriage, trust is oxygen. And once people stop trusting your name, everything gets harder. You can be gifted and still lose people's respect. You can be smart and still not be trusted. You can be successful and have a reputation people whisper about. Because talent can open doors, but integrity determines whether people feel safe when you walk through them. That is why the little things matter. They are shaping your identity. Every day you are voting for the kind of person you're becoming. Every decision says, this is who I am. And listen, none of us are perfect. Integrity doesn't mean you never fail. It just means when you fail, you own it. You tell the truth. You apologize. You make it right. You don't hide behind ego. You don't spin the story. You stand there and say, hey, this one was on me. That's strength, because the world does not need more people that look impressive. The world needs people who are solid, people who mean yes when they say it, people who say no and it means no, people who do not need supervision to do the right things. Your integrity is your real reputation. Everything else is marketing. Build a name that people can trust, not because you say the right things, but because you live them. Hard truth number 5. Winners lose more than people who never try. Yeah, we've talked about this before because winners really take the shot. They apply for the job. They start the business. They have the conversation. They write the book. They ask for the opportunity. They risk being rejected. People who never try protect their ego. They sit back and they criticize. They can say, I would have done it better, but they never have to prove it. They never have to risk anything. They never have to face the rejection or lose publicly or learn from the failure. And that's not strength. That's just hiding, because the person in the arena is going to get hit. The person building something is going to make mistakes. The person chasing a bigger life is going to stumble. The person trying to lead at a higher level is going to have uncomfortable moments. Let's think about it this way. You do not get mastery without losing. Think about the gym. You do not build muscle by avoiding resistance. You build muscle by going into resistance on purpose. Life works the same way. Rejection is resistance. Failure is resistance. Embarrassment is resistance. Hard, tough conversations are resistance. Discipline is resistance. But resistance is where that strength is built. So many people want a winning life, but they're not willing to lose enough to earn it. They want confidence without risk. It doesn't work that way. You've got to be willing to be bad before you become good. You've got to be willing to hear no before you hear yes. You have to be willing to lose your old identity before you step into a stronger one. If you cannot face losing, rejection, or failure, you will never become what you're capable of becoming. And this is in no way meant to discourage you. It's meant to free you, because once you accept that losing is part of winning, you stop treating every setback like a death sentence. You start treating it like data. Hey, what did I learn from this? What can I do differently next time? How can I improve? How can I get stronger? Bottom line, winners win because they take the chances. And if you are serious about building a bigger life, you're going to have to pay some tuition. Here's your leadership edge for this episode. Hard truths are not meant to shame you. They are meant to sharpen you. A weak person hears the truth and gets defensive. A growing person hears the truth and gets curious. That's the difference, because every one of these truths is really an invitation. Stop making excuses and start living. Face those shadows and start healing. Pay attention during crisis and start choosing your circle wisely. Protect your integrity and start becoming trustworthy at the deepest level. Accept losing and start building the courage required to win. That's self-leadership. It's not about pretending life is easy. It's about becoming strong enough, honest enough, and grounded enough to face life as it is. The goal is not to be perfect. The goal is to live a true life. A meaningful one, a life where you can look in the mirror and say, I showed up. I did not let fear own me. I loved the people who mattered. I got back up and I kept my integrity. I took the shot. That's a life worth building. So let me leave you with a few reflection questions. I want you today to ask yourself these. Where am I making excuses instead of taking action? What fear have I allowed to make too many decisions for me? What shadow in me needs attention instead of denial? Who has truly shown up for me when life was hard? And am I giving too much access to people who only love me when I'm useful? And maybe the biggest question you can ask right now is, What would my life look like in 6 months from now if I stopped hiding from the truth? Because that's where change begins. All right, here's your call to action for the episode. This week, I want you to pick one hard truth and act on it. Just one. Number 1, stop making excuses for not living life to the fullest. Number 2, face your shadows head on. Number 3, crisis reveals who really loves you. Number 4, your integrity is your reputation. And number 5, winners lose more than people who never try. And if any of those truths hit you today, good. Not because they hurt, but because it may be exactly what you need to wake up and go live fully. Face yourself honestly and love the real ones deeply. Protect your integrity. Take the shot. Listen, you may lose. You may get rejected. You may fall down, but that is still better than standing on the sidelines of your own life. All right, so that is today's episode. And if this podcast made a positive impact on you, please share it with someone who needs to hear it as well. I'd truly appreciate a quick rating or review on whatever platform you listen to me on. And don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss what's coming up next on the Leading Life Podcast. I'm Andy Zook. Remember, I want you to lead with purpose, live with intention, and keep becoming who you were meant to be. And most importantly, go out today and be the hero in somebody's story. Don't let fear dominate anymore. Go live that life you deserve. I'll talk to you on the next episode. Take care. Bye.